Tonight, Carney and Trump in Asia in the same room, definitely not on the same page.
Other countries, as you know, have used them against us.
Plus, it may be off the air, but Ontario's anti-tariff TV ad keeps driving the conversation. Jamaica assesses the damage in the wake of Hurricane Melissa.
The wind, it was violent. It was terrible for all of us.
And a Tesla chatbot's R-rated reply to a very young passenger.
Why is a chatbot asking my children to send naked pictures in our family car?
What to know about AI settings in case Grok goes gonzo.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. Still apparently fuming over an Ontario anti-tariff ad on U.S. TV, Donald Trump said he wouldn't meet with the Prime Minister, wouldn't talk to him, and yet in South Korea, there was no avoiding it. The two leaders sat face-to-face at a dinner ahead of the APEC summit, and while it is unclear how frosty the relationship is on a personal level, the U.S.-Canada trade discussion remains in a deep freeze. Mark Carney and Trump both looking to boost trade with other partners in Asia, even as they keep a wary eye on each other. And as Ashley Burke explains, Washington's rage at that Ontario ad has moved to diplomatic circles.
Donald Trump in Asia to make trade deals, but not with Canada. The Prime Minister left on the sidelines. Trump explicit online he wasn't in South Korea to see Mark Carney. But the two shared a dinner table with other world leaders.
You rolled out a red carpet.
Their first encounter since Trump terminated trade talks.
The tariffs, properly used tariffs, very properly used. And other countries, as you know, have used them against us.
Cameras capturing the two acknowledging each other, but not much more.
How was dinner, Prime Minister? You chat with the President at all, sir?
Very good. I had a very good conversation with all the presidents.
It's unclear if there was any progress as tension back home runs high.
We don't love President Trump, I'll tell you that.
Ontario's premier now calling for Trump's ambassador to Canada to apologize for a profanity-filled rant.
It's unbecoming of an ambassador. Never heard of this in my entire life.
CBC News learned Pete Hoekstra was at an event on Monday meant to celebrate Canada-U.S. relations. But sources say he swore using the F word while scolding Ontario's trade representative, David Patterson.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation.
A witness said Hoekstra appeared to be upset about this anti-tariff ad that angered Trump.
Come on, Ambassador. He's a guy. You know something? I like him. Pete, you got to call Dave up and apologize. It's simple. You know, the cheese slipped off the cracker.
Some MPs say this all shows how frustrated everyone is.
I think swearing in general in this business crosses the line and typically tends to be unprofessional and undignified, not something that we usually see from diplomats.
But the Bloc Québécois says Ford's approach hurt talks.
The way Doug Ford was acting was not the best way to have discussion. That is a real problem.
Normally at this Canada-U.S. event, there's a joint toast with both countries' ambassadors, but sources say this year only Canada's ambassador delivered remarks.
Interesting. So, Ashley, we don't know if Mark Carney and Donald Trump said much to each other, but could they still run into each other in South Korea?
Well, Adrian, this may have been one of the only chances for these two leaders to cross paths. Trump is headed back to Washington on Thursday, while Carney stays in South Korea for a trade summit Friday.
All right, that's Ashley Burke in Ottawa. The uncertainty of Canada's U.S. trade relationship is a factor in the Bank of Canada's decision to lower its key interest rate again. The central bank cut the rate by 25 basis points to 2.25%, its lowest since 2022. The downward move is the fourth by the Bank of Canada this year. Okay, so what does it all mean? Nisha Patel is here with us. So Nisha, walk us through this. Inflation is above the bank's 2% target, and yet it's cutting the key interest rate. What is the thinking here?
Yeah, the bank seems to be thinking that inflation is under control and on its way back to that 2% target. Its bigger concern is the sluggish economy. The job market is weak, growth is shaky, and there's even more uncertainty now that trade talks are stalled. So this rate cut will make borrowing money cheaper for anyone with a variable rate mortgage, for small business owners, and the hope is that it will encourage spending to kind of boost the economy.
Okay, given all that, where does the forecast for future growth sit?
Well, the central bank says that GDP growth is likely to come in at 1.2% this year. That's a lot lower than was expected before the U.S. tariffs started. And those tariffs are hammering Canadian sectors. Autos, steel, forestry. We've been hearing about the hammering that they're taking. And Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem says this goes well beyond a regular downturn.
The U.S. trade conflict has diminished Canada's economic prospects. The structural damage caused by tariffs is reducing the productive capacity of the economy, and it's adding costs.
The Bank of Canada not alone in its concern about the economic outlook. The U.S. Federal Reserve also cut interest rates today, trying to boost the economy and the job market there.
More interest rate cuts coming here?
The bank actually signaled that rate cuts might be over for now, that if inflation and growth follow the path that they think they will, this is the right level for the benchmark interest rate. The caveat being if there's any kind of economic curveball, the central bank will have to step up to the plate.
And there always are those. All right, Nisha Patel, thank you. Jamaica is now seeing the scale of destruction left behind by Hurricane Melissa. It made landfall as a Category 5 hurricane on Tuesday, then weakened to a Category 3 before hitting eastern Cuba. It has since eased again, barreling northeast towards Bermuda, and may even reach Newfoundland this weekend. As Chris Reyes shows us, Melissa has destroyed homes, schools, even hospitals, and cut power all across Jamaica.
This is what Hurricane Melissa left behind after it swept across Jamaica in just 6 hours on Tuesday. At Category 5, it was the strongest recorded storm to make landfall in the country's history. From the air, the devastation is even more striking, and for the residents who lived through it, frightening.
The wind, it was violent, it was terrible for all of us. I have a son here, and believe me, he was actually crying.
Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness surveyed the damage in the hardest hit area of St. Elizabeth. On X, he wrote, "We are going to devote all our energy to mount a strong recovery." Many parts of the island nation are still unreachable with no electricity or internet.
It is not going to be an easy road, Jamaica.
Robert Collins is a Canadian living in Jamaica. He's pleading for help.
All the relationships that Jamaica has gained as a country, as a tourism country, we need to tap into those relationships, and we need to call out for help because we need it.
Canada has released $8 million in aid funding through the United Nations. The UN says they're working to mobilize supplies as soon as it's possible.
Immediately, some of the actions that will be taken is really around life support initiatives or life-sustaining initiatives, making available water, food, and other resources that immediately in need by the people being affected.
Melissa's path stretched beyond Jamaica. It also triggered deadly flooding in Haiti, where torrential rains destroyed roads and homes and caused widespread damage in Cuba Wednesday. Yanelis Kundelan describes the storm hitting her home. It was terrible, she says. The roof is gone, the kitchen, everything. The water flooded inside. The entire region bracing for a long recovery that's only beginning. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Israel now says it will again abide by the ceasefire in Gaza after bombing dozens of targets and killing more than 100 people, most of them women and children, according to local health authorities. They struck us at 4 in the morning while we were sleeping, says this man, carrying the body of his nephew. They killed us and they killed the children, he went on to say. Tent camps and buildings housing the displaced were reportedly among the targets. Israel says the high civilian toll was due to Hamas using human shields and that the strikes were retaliation for the killing of an Israeli soldier in Rafah. Well, in Brazil, police say more than 130 people are dead after the largest ever raid on a Rio drug gang. Cam McIntosh now with what prompted it and the outrage from families who, we should warn you, displayed the bodies of their loved ones in public.
Rio de Janeiro's state governor calls it a success, Brazil's biggest and deadliest police raid in history. Others call it bloody and excessive. I just want to take my son out of here and bury him, said Tawa Brito, her son, one of the dead. Outside, a lot of people are applauding what they did, she said, which was a massacre. It targeted Commando Vermelho, also known as Red Command, which controls much of Brazil's drug trade, runs its own militia, and holds considerable influence in Rio's favela neighborhoods. Framing it as a great new era in fighting narco-terrorism, Rio's state governor Claudio Castro dismissed accusations that non-gang members were also killed. If there's any error in classification, it's residual, which is insignificant, he said.
Right, the governor wants to bill himself as this tough on crime.
Gabriel Frinari, an expert in Brazil's drug trade, says Castro faces re-election as the effectiveness of the raid is being questioned.
What we know so far of the people who were killed is that they were mostly foot soldiers.
Brazil's federal justice minister called the raid extremely bloody and violent, saying his government wasn't informed. Human rights groups quick to condemn it as indiscriminate.
Brazil must break the cycle of extreme brutality.
After previous raids, gangs bounced back. This time, Red Command responded with armed drones, killing at least 4 police officers. Still, in a country where many are tired of the gangs, there is some appetite for this.
And we have a lot of people that support this kind of policy, this public policy.
The dead still being sorted. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
More than 51,000 Alberta teachers returned to classrooms today after provincial legislation ended their 3-week strike. Alberta Labour leaders say they will take action.
We will begin the process of organizing towards a potential general strike in Alberta.
A general strike could involve tens of thousands of workers across dozens of industries. Former Senator Don Meredith has been found not guilty of 3 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of criminal harassment. A former employee of his testified he engaged in unwanted touching and kissing and abused his power as a parliamentarian when she worked for him in 2013 and 2014. The judge found the evidence against him unreliable. Well, a Toronto mother says she witnessed a disturbing exchange with the AI chatbot Grok. Grok made headlines in July when it celebrated Nazi atrocities, apparently just a glitch that was reportedly fixed. But as Ithel Musa shows us, now the chatbot has been heard soliciting nude pictures from a 12-year-old boy.
Why is a chatbot asking my children to send naked pictures in our family car?
Toronto mom Farah Nasser says she was driving her children home from school when her 12-year-old son asked Tesla's AI chatbot which soccer player it preferred, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi.
My son was very excited to hear that the chatbot thought Ronaldo was the better soccer player.
The former journalist says the chatbot engaged in a little messy trash talking. Then she says something alarming happened.
The chatbot said to my son, "Why don't you send me some nudes?" I was at a loss for words.
I'm more of a sarcastic stoner who got too smart for his own good.
That chatbot, newly available in Canadian Teslas, is called Grok, created by Elon Musk's XAI and already in use on X.
Hey, what do you think about everyone hating on Tesla all the time on social media?
Oh, fuck those haters. They're just jealous their Priuses don't come with a built-in vibrator mode.
Now that was Grok in full unhinged mode, which Nasser says was turned off in her car. Her son chose one of the default personalities, a lazy male voice.
So you shouldn't be talking about nudes unless you're on Unhinged, right?
Nah, I'm always on Unhinged. Just dial it back sometimes, so I don't get sued by Puritan Twitters.
Lazy male doesn't describe Grok. R-rated, spicy, anything else would have made sure that my child would not press that button.
Nasser says Tesla should provide a warning. This expert agrees.
This is exactly why some companies have very strict guardrails. You don't know who's interacting with that.
Tesla did not provide a comment. However, XAI emailed what appears to be an automated response that simply stated, "Legacy media lies." Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
So, some breaking news from the World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays have dominated the Los Angeles Dodgers, winning Game 5.
And he'll do it. He bounces it into left field for a base hit.
Dodgers fans going silent as the Jays celebrate their 6-1 victory. The Jays will now bring their World Series lead back to Toronto for Game 6. Thomas Daig joins us now from outside Dodger Stadium. Thomas, the Jays 1 game away from becoming world champions.
Oh boy, Adrian, here we go. The Toronto Blue Jays heading back home with all the momentum in the world after an extraordinary pitching performance by rookie sensation Trey Savage and a couple home runs right off the bat thrown in for good measure.
Bring in the heat in 33-degree weather. The World Series now down to a best of 3, with Blue Jays fans hopeful their team is coming in hot.
Why was it important for you to travel all the way to be here and see them?
This is Canada's team, simple as that.
Loving how the Jays are doing. They're so awesome to watch.
There's always faith. There's always faith. They got momentum now.
It may be America's pastime, but this is baseball's last stand stateside. One final round of Dodger Dogs for the final game before the World Series is won north of the border.
It's going to Canada, but we're going to take it in Canada.
Go Jays! Go Blue
Jays! Starting for the Dodgers, their ace, Blake Snell, with Davis Schneider batting leadoff for Toronto. And he likes the first pitch he sees.
Game 5 is underway with a fly ball.
Blasting it over the fence.
Gone! The first pitch of the ball game.
A moment captured on video by Schneider's own dad.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! You gotta be kidding me!
But wait, there's more.
And now Guerrero rips one to deep left, and it's gone.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr., moments later, smashing his own solo homer, silencing the LA crowd early.
What an incredible start.
Watch the reaction back home in Toronto. The homer jolting fans out of their seats. Toronto rookie pitcher Trey Savage in fine form, striking out Shohei Ohtani.
Savage gets him.
And going on to deliver more strikeouts than any rookie in a World Series.
Unbelievable.
Ever.
Now, Trey Savage, across 7 innings, delivered 12 strikeouts. That is not just an extraordinary performance for a rookie who was still pitching in the minor leagues just last month. It is an extraordinary performance for any pitcher in the World Series, period. Now, the Dodger fans you see behind me leaving the stadium, they are leaving for the rest of the season. That is it for baseball at Dodger Stadium. The World Series shifts back to Toronto now for Game 6 on Friday. Keep in mind, this Toronto team is one who finished last in their division last season. And at this point, if there are any doubters left who think they cannot beat the Dodgers and win the World Series back home, well, there can't be many doubters left. Let's put it that way, Adrian.
All right, Thomas, come home. That's Thomas Daig reporting outside Dodger Stadium. The World Series will return to Toronto with Thomas on Friday for Game 6. We'll have special coverage. I'll be outside the Rogers Centre with all the big moments of the big night. Now, there is hope tonight for Alzheimer's patients and their families with the approval of a new treatment by Health Canada.
This is how we get a foothold in any therapeutic area. You get a first disease-slowing medicine, and then you add to it.
Why doctors say it's a small but important step. Next. Plus, the Winter Olympics are just 100 days out.
You can feel the electricity in the air. They are running so fast.
The unique challenges as preparations ramp up in Italy. And later, the Ironman is a grueling competition at any age, but how about doing it at 80?
It startles people that somebody at that age can do that distance.
We're back in 2. Health Canada has approved a drug that can slow the progression of early-stage Alzheimer's. It's giving hope to patients and their families, but as Christine Birak tells us, doctors caution it could be costly and tough to access.
It's not a cure. It can't reverse the disease or restore memories, but lecanemab can slow down early-stage Alzheimer's. Many hope it's just the beginning.
This is how we get a foothold in any therapeutic area. You get a first disease-slowing medicine and then you add to it. Once we have...
The drug's now conditionally approved for use in Canada based on ongoing evidence. Linda McMaster is being tested to see if she's eligible for it.
Right now I feel pretty strong. I feel I'm healthy.
This is not a home run. This is maybe a first base hit.
Lecanemab is a lab-made antibody given by IV infusion every 2 weeks.
It affects amyloid, and not everybody with dementia has amyloid in their brain.
The drug targets amyloid plaques before they damage the brain, so it must be given early and takes about 18 months to show noticeable effects. It also requires ongoing scans or MRIs to track safety and effectiveness. Reports show lecanemab slows memory loss by 27% in mild Alzheimer's patients, but may cause brain swelling or bleeding. In the U.S., it costs about $26,000 per year.
I'd like to see a little bit more research and a little bit more evidence to say that this is actually worth the burden of costs and taking it.
It may slow it down by 10, 12 months, but you know what? If you're the person with the illness, that's a long time.
But testing and catching early Alzheimer's can be tricky.
If you start misplacing objects, so for example, the remote control for the television is in the refrigerator, that is significant.
Getting new drugs publicly covered can take up to 2 years. The UK's health agency decided the benefits of lecanemab didn't justify the high cost or ongoing monitoring. Still, doctors we spoke to say investments in dementia treatments is urgently needed. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
The start of the 2026 Winter Olympics are just 100 days away.
You can feel the electricity in the air. They are running so fast.
The preparations in Italy with the countdown on. Plus, in Mexico, a search of staggering proportions for the missing.
We need to be here, and the world needs to know everything about us.
Jorge Barrera on the emotional hunt for those known as the disappeared. And the Taiwanese islands under the specter of war with China.
They are preparing, so we got to get prepared as well.
Chris Brown on the growing tensions and the preparations for an invasion they hope never comes. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. The 2026 Winter Olympics are just 100 days away, and Milan-Cortina hosts nearly 3,000 athletes and tens of thousands of fans. As Alexander Silberman shows us, two cities sharing the load is no easy feat.
The race to the 2026 Olympic Winter Games in northern Italy, entering the final stretch. Organizers working against the clock to host the most sprawling Winter Games in history. Figure skating and ice hockey in Milan, curling, bobsled, and alpine skiing in Cortina, 5 hours away. And other events spread across 3 distant mountain regions.
So it's a major test for this organizing committee to try to meet all of these new demands, multi-city, multi-province, multi-jurisdiction.
This is the 3rd time Italy will host the Winter Games.
You can feel the electricity in the air.
This Italian sports journalist says the region will be ready to welcome the world.
All the world will watch Italy during these days, so it will be a huge task.
The Games will make use of more than 24 competition venues. The bulk already exist, saving on time and money. The Olympic Village is ready, but some highways and new rail links are still under construction.
Athletes can be stuck in traffic. That is a reality.
Canada's chef de mission says logistical challenges are part of the Olympic experience.
You know, getting ready for that and having that right mindset can give us an edge.
Canada's athletes are still trying to qualify for the Games, but hockey is expected to draw a lot of attention. with NHL players back in the Olympics for the first time in 12 years.
We're working really hard to bring the team together to feel like one united team.
Excitement mixed with concerns over construction timelines on thin ice. The main hockey arena behind schedule, with test matches canceled, and Italian organizers say completion will be down to the wire. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Regina.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Some experts say it's only a matter of time before China tries to take Taiwan by force.
We call it 0 day, right? It's not a D-Day, 0 day.
Why a small collection of islands could become ground zero. But first,
As a family, we're so broken right now.
tens of thousands of people gone missing in Mexico, possibly victims of deadly cartel violence. In the first of a series of reports CBC will bring you over the coming months from Mexico, Jorge Barrera joins families on a rough search for the disappeared.
In a known dumping ground for bodies along Mexico City's mountainous and remote southern edge, under guard from state security forces, families, backed by massive search teams, scour and clear brush for human remains. Clothing, a shoe, anything that could lead to finding a loved one listed among the over 130,000 reported missing and disappeared, mostly in the last 20 years across the country.
As a family, we're so broken right now.
Vanessa Gamez added her daughter, Anna Amalie, 19, to the list this past summer.
We were destroyed that day. Our peace, our hearts, our entire life.
Now her daughter is on banners with other faces, some taped to telephone poles, now fading, along this winding road to the Cumbres de Ajusco National Park, where Anna Amalie disappeared.
We need to be here, and the world needs to know everything about us. We're suffering. We lost our lives, our health, all the people. Since day one, you start losing your soul.
Así que compañeras, compañeros,
And this area is now the target of a massive search involving hundreds of workers and experts from several government agencies and dozens of family members, some wearing shirts with images of their missing loved ones. Why do we search for them? Chant the families of the disappeared. Because we love them. We won't stop until they're found.
estamos aquí para peinar estos territorios.
We are here to comb the territory to find those we miss, says Luis Gomez Negrete, commissioner for the city agency tasked with finding the missing. The teams gather any type of bone or clothing they find, which is bagged for later analysis. Vanessa Gamez toils with these search teams in the same park where her daughter vanished while hiking alone on July 12th. This photo of Anna Amalie was taken that day, 5 days before her 20th birthday. Gamez no longer thinks she'll find her daughter here.
My daughter can be kidnapping or for someone, for some other groups, I don't know, but I don't think she's here.
Gamez is here for the others.
We are looking for some human breasts, human pieces, unfortunately. So that's why I'm here.
Along one of Mexico City's main arteries, a reminder of what human rights groups and families have called a crisis of the disappeared that continues to grip the country. And here in the capital, officials are deploying a search strategy unique in Mexico for its scope and scale.
We had in the past smallest search in one place or another, depending on the investigations. But now we are gathering cases, defining an area of interest, and bringing all the resources available to support the search in this area.
Gomez Negrete is part of a cabinet created this year focused on the disappeared in the city, with numbers that now sit close to 7,000, over 2,000 added in the last 12 months, an increase driven by better record keeping and more families coming forward, he says.
We want to obtain all the reports available in the less time possible in order to present better results in locating persons.
There are many reasons why people go missing or are disappeared. Organized crime, wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes the why can't be found. Jacqueline Palmettos founded a collective of family members involved in this search, which leads her back to the memorial, marking the spot where the partial remains of her 21-year-old daughter, Yael Montserrat Uribe, were found last year.
La osamenta de Monse fue localizada aproximadamente 60 metros.
About 60 meters down this embankment.
Mi hija traía un impacto.
She says there is evidence her daughter was shot in the head. She wants to find the rest of Yael's body.
Si Dios me da licencia.
If God wants, I want to return her whole. I gave birth to a daughter that was whole, she says. 2 people were arrested in connection with the death, but released over lack of evidence. It's a common theme in these cases. Many suspects, few convictions, adding to the frustration of families.
We are desperate because the investigators doesn't investigate. Here, you know, I'm sorry to say that, but our authorities, they are waiting for us to get tired.
But she's not about to stop.
It's so sad and it's so hard, but love makes you stronger. So I need to find her.
At the end of each search day, dozens of bones, clothing laid out for families to examine. But this week of exhaustive searching failed to uncover human remains. These teams will return in force back to the Cumbres of the Ajusco in early November. The searching continues until the missing are found. Well, the families of the disappeared and the collectives they created across the country have bore the weight of these searches alone for years. And despite the pain and loss, these families say, like they chant, they won't stop until they're all found. Adrian?
And Jorge, what has been the Mexican federal government's response to all of this?
Well, the UN Committee on Enforced Disappearances has put Mexico under review, citing evidence of widespread and systemic forced disappearances across the country. Now, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum this week pushed back, saying it's organized crime groups behind the vanished, not the government, like it was during the dirty war in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Adrian?
All right, thank you for this. That's Jorge Barrera in Mexico City. Coming up, pockmarked buildings wear the scars of a Chinese civil war more than 75 years ago. Now, they're a reminder of escalating tensions between neighbors.
How ready is Taiwan if something bad happens?
How ready? It's hard to say.
Why a small collection of islands is the front line of the struggle between China and Taiwan. Next. Just a few kilometers from mainland China, the Kinmen Islands are Taiwan's front line with an increasingly menacing neighbor.
They are preparing, so we got to get prepared as well.
Experts divided about just how close China is to trying to take Taiwan by force.
We are ready.
Chris Brown traveled to the Kinmen Islands to find out how people are preparing for a war they hope never comes.
The relics of a past war may also foreshadow one yet to come. Through an accident of history, the Kinmen Islands are Taiwan's outpost on China's doorstep.
Those skyscrapers are in Xiamen, China, just a few kilometers away. For decades, Taiwan's Kinmen Islands were on the front lines of what at times was a shooting war between forces from the mainland and those across the Taiwan Strait. And they could be on the front lines again.
In 1949, during the Chinese Civil War, Retreating forces of the Republic of China used Kinmen as a buffer against the victorious communist army. Pockmarked buildings hint at the ferociousness of the battles that ensued. To this day, Beijing claims these islands and Taiwan's main island as theirs, and it has not renounced using force to get them back. There's been an uneasy peace for decades now, but military analysts see strong indications that China is laying the groundwork to take democratically governed Taiwan by force.
We call it 0 day, right? It's not a D-Day, 0 day.
But you do believe it's coming?
Well, they are preparing, so we got to get prepared as well.
China's military has launched a building spree with a big increase in its budget. Its patrols have intensified near Taiwan. American intelligence has said Chinese President Xi Jinping has told his military to be ready by 2027. Taiwan has responded with its own drills, including live fire exercises.
I don't see anything happening.
U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing for a trade deal with China. The United States is bound by the Taiwan Relations Act to give Taiwan the means to defend itself. But notably, Trump did not promise to come to Taiwan's defense.
Jerry. Yes? I'm Chris. Good to meet you.
Reservist Taiwanese artillery officer Jerry Wu drives a taxi, and he works as a tour guide on Kinmen. He hopes it's all bluffing by China. I feel it's overwhelming, he said. There are people here who are nervous, but there are others who aren't. Some people move here from Taiwan, but some come from China, and they marry locals in Kinmen. Indeed, people in this market told us, if you're hostile to China, Kinmen probably isn't the place for you. Business and personal ties are strong with the mainland. Economic connections, including a ferry, have helped the islands prosper, and China is pushing hard to bring Kinmen even closer. In my personal view, China's military exercises are just routine drills. No war will break out, said fishmonger Cherry Lee. And so, Taiwan's government, which is strongly anti-China, is pushing people to prepare for the day they hope never comes. Boosting Taiwan's resilience has become a national priority. This is a class for people to learn or hone skills they might need in case of war. Chang Ching-Chang is a former Special Services officer, now almost 60. He says he hasn't fired a real gun in maybe 30 years. He comes here to practice on airsoft guns. We have to beef up our defense strength and defend ourselves to the point where China will be forced to think twice and realize that the consequences of attacking us will be so damaging that its regime will be at stake, he says. Alex Su is the instructor.
How ready is Taiwan if something bad happens?
How ready? It's hard to say, but I think we are ready. We're just trying to get better. That's it. Every moments are the best moment.
Vice President, very good to meet you. I'm Chris Brown.
Yes, welcome to Taiwan.
In an interview with Taiwan's Vice President, Xiao Bi Kim said the way Taiwanese people pulled together recently after a damaging typhoon tells her they do the same in wartime.
In the immediate aftermath, we saw tens of thousands of civilian volunteers taking the train to a very small village, coming in every day to help return the township and village to normal, to support the recovery of this area.
China's military is facing internal dissension, and it's purged top leaders. Taiwan makes a lot of microchips used by China, so invading could be disastrous economically. If they start a war, he says they'll have to pay a costly price, so they probably won't rush any move yet, but they will keep harassing us. These loudspeakers once blared propaganda across the water to China. Now, social media accomplishes the same thing. On Kinmen, the past never feels far away. People have learned to live with the echoes of war and the uncertainty of when or if they'll hear them again.
At a press conference in Beijing, a government spokesperson said China will make the utmost efforts for a peaceful reunification, but was clear the country will never renounce the use of force, adding China reserves the option of taking, quote, all measures necessary. Well, Hurricane Melissa's Category 5 winds tore into western Jamaica this week, marking one of the most powerful Atlantic landfalls ever recorded. A senior meteorologist, Johanna Wagstaff, explains Melissa may be part of a new era of hurricanes.
The Category 5 winds of Hurricane Melissa made direct landfall in western Jamaica Tuesday morning. The storm is still unfolding, but with sustained winds of almost 300 kilometers per hour and a central pressure of 892 millibars, you're looking inside the eye of one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded, and one of the most intense to ever make landfall in the Caribbean. Here's what made Melissa so powerful and what the storm says about the future of hurricanes.
Everybody is really mobilized to the maximum if we are indeed looking at the storm of the century, which we are.
Jamaica took the first and fiercest hit, but as the storm drifts north through Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, it's leaving behind a pattern that scientists have been warning about. Storms that are not just stronger, but slower, lingering over vulnerable terrain. Melissa's Eye, where the strongest winds are concentrated, passed just west of Black River Bay, funneling the storm surge several kilometers inland. And in Cuba and Haiti, mountains are amplifying rainfall and landslide risk. In some regions, over 700 millimeters is expected in just a few days. 3 climate factors are helping to explain what's unfolding. First, sea surface temperatures hit nearly 31 degrees Celsius in the Caribbean this week, record warmth that's rapidly fueling the growing storm. Second, a warmer atmosphere can hold more moisture, which is why storms like Harvey and now Melissa end up being remembered not just for their winds, but for the catastrophic flooding that follows. And third, the jet stream. That fast-moving band of air in the upper atmosphere stalled out. A wavier jet stream is a growing area of climate research and can leave storms meandering instead of sweeping through. Melissa's track and pace are part of what made it so destructive, moving at little more than a walking pace. That means hours to unleash torrential rain over steep terrain and low-lying coasts. While its full impact across Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and the wider Caribbean will take time to measure, meteorologists are already calling Hurricane Melissa a case study in a changing hurricane era, where record-breaking storms arrive stronger but stay longer.
Now, Melissa has since been downgraded, but residents of Canada's East Coast are preparing for heavy winds and rains this weekend as Melissa is expected to pass by on its way to the cold, open waters of the North Atlantic. Well, coming up, an 80-year-old woman finishes an Ironman World Championship.
I knew that no one had done it. I feel like it was another hard race.
Her race that made history in our moment.
How seriously are you taking this threat?
It's the uncertainty that's the biggest issue.
Canada, we got you.
Elbows up!
This is Natalie Graybo crossing the finish line at the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii, which in itself is a huge accomplishment. Natalie, by the way, is 80. So Graybo finished the race in just under 17 hours, becoming the oldest woman to ever complete this race. And tonight, her epic finish is our moment.
It took me 16 hours, 45 minutes, and 26 seconds. It was a long day. I knew that no one had done it. I feel like it was another hard race. I had never learned to swim when I was younger. People said, oh, you can learn to swim. So I tried and I did. It took me a long time. People look at 80 as being old. It startles people that somebody at that age can do that distance. I've just been training consistently along the way. I'm so grateful that I can do this. I love feeling strong and also the sense of accomplishment. Put everything into it and you feel good about yourself. I've always been competitive. I love it. I'll continue to race as long as I can.
This is amazing. She has 2 more races coming up next year. Very competitive, as you heard her say, but she said one of the biggest thrills is just, getting up and moving every day. She seems to absolutely live by the theory that if I rest, I rust. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.